On this vote, the yeas are 53, the nays are 47, and this nomination is confirmed.
It was a moment 232 years in the making. The Senate confirming Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, making her the 116th justice and cementing her place in history.
It has taken 232 years and 115 prior appointments for a Black woman to be selected to serve on the Supreme Court.
Can you feel a brand new day, Ketanji?
I have a 16-year-old daughter who now has seen a Black president, a Black vice president, and a Black Supreme Court justice. What that tells her is that she can do anything.
And while Justice Jackson has made it to the nation's highest court, she joins the Supreme Court at a time of unprecedented change.
Forget the biggest decision of the year. This might have been the biggest judicial decision in decades.
5 justices ended the right of American women to choose abortion under the Constitution. The monumental decision now leaves the issue up to the 50 states.
For the first time in American history, the Supreme Court took a constitutional right away.
It really represented the divisiveness in our country. You had people cheering, they were excited, and on the other hand, you had tears.
What it tells us now is that this court, this conservative majority, they're not afraid to overturn precedents.
And from the highest court in the land to the man who once held the highest office, 2022 brought numerous legal challenges.
Trump faces a mind-blowing number of legal actions against him. You have the federal investigations, both looking into Trump's actions on January 6th and what he did with federal documents.
Now to breaking news tonight, we're learning about an FBI search at the primary residence of former President Trump.
We've never seen anything like this. His home and offices being raided because the government suspects that he took classified documents.
Save America! The seizing of documents from Mar-a-Lago quickly sparking debate about the motives behind the raid.
The FBI raid of President Trump is a complete abuse and overreach of its authority.
It is Joe Biden's DOJ, and they have weaponized this FBI at every turn.
And providing fodder for late-night comedy.
The Mar-a-Lago Search and Seizure Edition, where you can build Donald Trump's Florida mega mansion and then raid it FBI style.
The former president is now the subject of serious investigations, and we don't know how they're going to unfold.
And while Donald Trump's political and legal future remained to be seen, this year did see the conclusion of many high-profile cases.
A Connecticut jury punishing Alex Jones for years of lies with a staggering verdict, ordering the conspiracy theorists to pay nearly $1 billion in damages to the families of Sandy Hook victims.
The Parkland shooter sentenced to life. Nicholas Cruz sentenced to 17 consecutive life terms for the students and staff he killed.
Tonight, Elizabeth Holmes sentenced to more than 11 years in prison. The Theranos founder sent to prison for fraud.
Guilty. The 3 other officers involved in George Floyd's killing convicted of violating his civil rights.
And it was chaos in the cryptocurrency market when one of the biggest players in the digital money market came crashing down.
Shockwaves across the world of cryptocurrency as federal regulators reportedly investigate the sudden collapse of FTX, a top crypto exchange.
Valued earlier this year at $32 billion, the company filed for bankruptcy. The 30-year-old CEO Sam Bankman-Fried, once seen as a modern J.P. Morgan, now at the center of an investigation.
The founder of FTX now charged in a scheme that investigators say stole billions of dollars from customers and investors.
Bankman-Fried stepped down as CEO of the Bahama-based company and has agreed to extradition to the U.S., where he faces fraud charges. He has denied committing fraud. And then there was that courtroom case that unfolded like a Hollywood drama, the Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard trial that had everyone tuning in.
Here you had a woman say her husband had committed domestic violence against her. She publishes it. He not only says it's not true, he sues her for defamation.
Some of the details that were coming out were shocking.
They're spending their lives, their fights, Johnny Depp getting a finger cut off.
I realized that the tip of my finger had been severed.
It was like, did they just say this? Did I just hear that right? Like, I'm not supposed to know this much about people, you know, like that.
I don't think we can underestimate the role of celebrity in this case.
You had Johnny Depp stands outside dressed like Jack Sparrow, dressed like Edward Scissorhands.
Eventually, the jury ended up awarding Johnny Depp in all $15 million. And I don't think people were surprised because you could see the way the trial was leaning in Johnny's favor.
The jury awarded him more damages than are legally allowed in the state of Virginia. So he only got $10,350,000.
The jury also awarded her $2 million, finding a statement by one of Depp's lawyers to be defamatory. Initially, both Depp and Heard appealed the verdicts against them, but just last week it was announced that they had settled the case. Depp's lawyer stating Heard agreed to pay $1 million and Depp would donate the sum to charity. While the court sought justice at home, overseas, a battle for women's rights and equality continued for many.
Women leading the way after decades of repression and now a suspicious death.
The brutal death of Mahsa Amini is becoming a turning point for Iranian women.
I cut in my hair because many of my sister in Iran, they gonna die.
With the protests in Iran show no signs of slowing down, they are spreading across the country.
They are hanging young people who go out to fight for rights, to fight for human rights.
And while many Iranians continue to fight for their rights, one WNBA star celebrated her battle overseas, returning to American soil earlier this month.
I'm just standing here, overwhelmed with emotions. Today, my family is whole.
For 294 days, the two-time Olympic gold medalist had been detained in Russia after being convicted of illegal drug possession and sentenced to 9 years.
I made an honest mistake, and I hope that in your ruling, that it doesn't end my life here.
In order to get Brittany back, we had to release somebody who's a terrible, terrible man.
Griner released in exchange for convicted Russian arms dealer Victor Bout, known as the Merchant of Death.
A controversial one for a trade that did not include former Marine Paul Whelan, who in 2018 was detained on accusations of spying and is currently serving a 16-year sentence. Biden told reporters this month that the U.S. continues to negotiate for Whelan's release.
This was a controversial trade. A WNBA basketball player for a minor infraction traded for an arms dealer.
Griner was not the only one to make it home for the holidays this year. In Baltimore, a shocking update in a case that gripped the nation thanks to a popular podcast.
This is a prepaid call from
Adnan Syed. It is not an exaggeration to say that the Adnan Syed case is the reason that podcasting exists as it does today.
Millions tuned in to the hit podcast Serial to follow the story of Adnan Syed, who at 17 years old was sentenced to life for the 1999 murder of Hayman Lee, a crime he insisted he did not commit.
I mean, no way, I had absolutely nothing to do with Hayes' murder.
The public pressure really led to the district attorneys reevaluating what had happened in that case.
After 23 years, Syed walked out of prison, his conviction overturned after the court found investigators failed to turn over evidence that could have helped his trial. 1 month later, charges against him were dropped. And a hard-fought legal victory of another variety made headlines earlier this year.
Steps up slowly, Rapinoe, shot, goal!
When the U.S. women's soccer team celebrated what they called their most impactful win to date.
A $24 million settlement reached after dozens of members of the women's national team filed a bombshell lawsuit in 2019 alleging gender discrimination, as higher pay was given to their male counterparts.
This is just such a monumental step forward in feeling valued, feeling respected.
We need to make sure that equal pay translates across the board, not only in women's athletics, but also in everyday jobs that women hold here in the States.
And I not only see this as a win for our team or women's sports, but women in general.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.